Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see so many new and known faces today on Zoom. Thank you for joining us for so many countries in Europe, in North and South America, and as far as India, Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, and Singapore for our 11th virtual coffee for yogi to reflect on the year-long pandemic and its aftermath. We are a real global community. Thank you for coming. There will be opportunity 10, 15 minutes before the end to ask questions to David. So I'm just going to introduce a little bit the program and also David. So this difficult global pandemic has been with us for more than a year now, and has brought much suffering worldwide, and has also created a real need for connection without border. Way back in March 2020, we saw that by January 2021, we would be free of this pandemic and be back face to face. This was not to come. Yes, some of us are getting vaccine, returning to studio in hybrid form, and there is some hope in the midst of this uncertainty. And yet others around the world are experiencing even more challenges. It will take time for us to come back, if ever, to a pre-COVID situation. We are still dealing with some of the same issue of uncertainty, fear, loneliness, and now for a longer period of time. We're still in need to adjust our lives and expectation at this time and maybe facing new challenges as the virus mutates. But thanks to the technology of Zoom in this virtual coffee, we have been reaching out to senior Iyengar teachers worldwide, creating a global community of yogis interested in reflecting on our yogic practices during this time. My hope has been and still is that by hearing the different voices of our senior teacher, we can learn from each other, feel connected as we strengthen, explore the many aspects of our yoga practice. So today our guest is David Meloni, Senior Iyengar Yoga from Italy. David Meloni has been awarded the highest certificate possible in the Iyengar system. He is also the director of the Iyengar Yoga Rahasya Center in Florence, Italy. He leads teacher training programs and conducts seminars throughout Europe, Asia, North and South America. David Meloni started practicing yoga, Iyengar yoga, in 1996 as a teen, and has studied with the Iyengar since his first visit to Pune in 2003. I had the pleasure to take a workshop in person with David in February 2020 in New York, just before the pandemic. I was very impressed by his knowledge and touched by his kindness. His innovative use of props made all yoga shapes accessible, and his teaching in stages made each asana a world in itself. As he is known to say, there is no wrong or right in doing asana. It all depends on what we want to achieve with a particular practice. So it's a pleasure to have you, David, on the coffee today. And with further ado, let me ask you if you can tell us a little bit about how you came to Iyengar Yoga, why did you stay, and when did you meet Mr. Iyengar himself?
Sure. First of all, thank you to the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. And first of all, I would like to ask if I can do the invocation of Sir Patanjali, Lord Patanjali, and to the Guru and to Guruji, Mikhail Sayang. Oh. Yogena chittasya padena vacham balam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram munina patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abhavu purushakaram Shankha Chakra Siddharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vajnanikam Prabhakritva Azaneshu Kalavidam Yogabhyase cha Tatvajnam Vandeham Sundaram Gurum Yogavirksho Ilokesmin Yat Preranena Varditaha Yogacharya Gurutubhyam Sundaraya Namo Namaha Hari Om. Fine. So going back to your question. So I started Iyengar yoga when I was between 18 and 19 years old. And I was practicing martial arts, karate in that time. And I was living in my island in Sardinia. And in one point, I found out the need to find some secondary activity to become more focused and become more strong and flexible in such a way I could perform better my activity. That was exactly the competition in martial arts and karate. So this came on the suggestion of a master of karate that this could help. So he was saying, just find a book and then you can try and then you will see. So this is what I did. I was looking for a book. So I found some book, but these books that I found were kind of interesting, but kind of incomplete for my feeling, for my sensation. So I proceeded to looking for a book that could be more interesting for me until I find out the book of Guruji, Light on Yoga. And this book, it was like lightning. So I was really completely amazed of this book. First of all, obviously, when you are going to the back part of the book, there are, in that time, it was the section, we are speaking about the 90s, the book was still in the old form. So it was all the text, and then in the end, all the pictures. So just going through the book and then going and seeing these pictures, I was really amazed how this man, and as in the, he was able to perform all these kind of asanas. And then as I had the experience in other books, usually it was someone that was doing some posture, another one was doing another posture, depends what each one was good to do it. But this man could do everything. And which kind of elegance and something was going beyond the picture, like energy. So obviously, I really bought this book. I was reading it very fast. And then obviously I started to practice with the book. And so it took a long time since the start that I practiced with the book, that was 1996, to the time that I met Guruji in 2003 when I went to Pune. And it was amazing. So I was full of expectation. Many times when you are going to see in reality the person that you want to see, you have a lot of expectation. Many times you are also thinking, well, perhaps it is my illusion, perhaps my expectations are too much. Instead, I went to Pune, I met him, and it was beyond all any expectation. So very great personality, and particularly the things that touched me more, and so many other people that were in the possibility to see him and practicing under his guide, was when he was practicing, the waves, the energy that was able to propagate. I'm making this example. It was like a black hole in the space that is sucking all the energy of the space. So when you were going into the yoga hall, what you could feel, it was some presence, some energy. Perhaps you didn't know that it was there, but you could feel this presence. And after following this energy, then you were turning the eyes in his direction, and you could see him under some asana, staying there very long time, and with a kind of peace in his face, absolutely effortless. So it was very amazing, because many times we are reading about these things, but again, it's something that you can say, okay, it's something that is written, it's something that is passed by the teaching of someone, but it was possible to see this person alive. So it was a perfect example of someone that started with nothing, and he didn't have anything, neither his health, any possibility. And then, as Gitaji was saying many times, he started from zero to become a hero, because he could transform himself totally and develop so much in his qualities. And not only he could help himself, but he could help with example, and is teaching also the others. Mm-hmm. So when I went there the first time, I said to myself, I want absolutely to come as much as possible here. And then I asked to this possibility, and this was allowed. So I went every year. And in one point, I started to go and stay for a long time, 3 months a year. So the first years, he wasn't considering me like I was a normal student, average student that was just going to the classes and in the practice time, that's it. And then in one point in 2009, changed everything, because he asked to me to stay close to him, and then to practice under his direct guidance. And so this was a blessing. This was a blessing, because he was able to transform completely my practice. And then after this, under his example, under his guide, and under this seed that he placed, still now I'm in the possibility, in the capability to feel something that perhaps I didn't digest in that time, and then now is open to me. Mm-hmm. So it's a treasure.
Thank you, David, for bringing Bhikkhus Iyengar back to life here for us. Which one of his teaching seems to be the most relevant for you today in this situation that we are in? What would you give us as one of his most important teaching in this situation?
Yeah, it was extremely disciplined, and he was trying to make discipline also his students. Mm-hmm. And you know, many times the teachers, they want discipline from the students, but they are not disciplined themselves. And in this case, it was absolutely an example of discipline. And this discipline, you could see that made in the years, because you can see also the pictures, you can see also all the recording of some interviews. It changed. It changed in his wisdom. It changed, it evolved the system continuously. And the curiosity was always there. The passion to be a student was always there. And it was also accepting the things they were coming. It wasn't, the things can bring to you scariness, frustration, but it was always facing the problems and was in this way trying to solve. It was a physical problem, or it was any other kind of problem. Also, under his teaching, in one point, he was without his teacher for many years. And then he found himself kind of lost. And also because he had so many problems. The health wasn't so good, the economical situation wasn't so good, so many things. And then he found himself in the needs of the teacher, and he found the teacher into himself, he found the teacher into Patanjali. So he could apply the Yoga Sutra into the practice of asana and pranayama. And then he felt that when it was in a condition of difficulties, the sutra were coming to him, and then he could solve that particular situation, or he could face that particular situation. So nowadays, that we are facing situation that we weren't prepared. We never expected something like this. And we are also used that we have some programs and we want to do this and this and this. And then all these kind of things were from one day to the other completely it's not possible to live in the same way as before anymore. So you had two possibilities: or resist and then feel despaired, feel depressed, anxiety, or try to face the situation and then what to do. For sure, if you were in that condition that someone got the disease and then they felt very bad, or other situation, like in Italy, many people lost the job and then they had economical problems. So they need to build up courage. They need to build to face these situations, and but it's something more critical. But many times in us, what happened? More or less, the situation, economical situation, was more or less fine. Your health situation was more or less fine. We were just very scared, and we couldn't do the things that we would like to do: travel and go out. And you were in the need to stay at home. So all these kind of things could really place you down. Also, if instead could be something that could be an opportunity, a possibility, because being in the necessity, in the condition to be without to do your normal life, your face your travels, appointments, and all these kind of things, gave you the chance to stay more with yourself, and gave you more the chance to look into yourself, to look to your demons, to face these conditions and try to solve it. In my case, particularly, when it was January, I was in China. I was teaching there. And I came back, I think it was the 15th of January. And after 1 week, I knew, like every one of us, that something was going on, starting from Wuhan and spreading from all around China. And then I was thinking to myself, oh, I was there. But anyways, I went away in time from there. So I didn't get anything. I was continuing to travel then. And I went to United States. And I was looking for masks in the airports. And also if nothing in Europe was there yet. But I was traveling, and then I was thinking perhaps it's better to have the mask with me. I will try in the airport to find nothing. No mask were possible to find. No disinfection products were possible to find anything. I came back, and once I came back from United States, I had just the time to go to some other place, and then all the time that I was coming back from some place, in that place was the virus. So I was just in time back, and then in that place was the virus. So in one point, I was still traveling, and I went to Finland because my wife is from there. Actually, the mother of my wife is from there. And then the day that we moved there, Italy was under lockdown completely. The situation went completely out of control there. And I stayed with my wife in Finland for 7 months. Because on the start, we couldn't come back. We couldn't go back in Italy. And then after, we were just taking time and see what was the best things to do. And in that time, once I arrived there, I should still travel to go to France. And again, I went back to France. France was closed also. Finland wasn't closed. And then after I came back to France, I said to myself, as I met people, it's better that I'm placing myself in quarantine. So I took apartment for myself only, and I stayed there. After a few days, I started to feel sick. I couldn't breathe so well, energy very down, but I called to the doctors, and then they were still in the starting situation of the COVID there also. So they said, we are just treating the very bad situations. So we are going to be in contact with you, and then let's see how it goes to be, how it's going to be. So actually, I was feeling little worse. I was feeling with a kind of heaviness in the chest and very weak, but no fever, no other symptoms. And after 2 weeks, after actually 10 days, I started to feel better. After 2 weeks, I was completely fine. So in that time, I couldn't practice so much. I couldn't do pranayama so much. So I was doing only restorative asanas, and I was reading. I was reading the Yoga Sutras. Many different kind of commentaries. So it was interesting because in these situations, when you feel that everything is uncertain, the work, so you could stay without work for a few times, perhaps a few weeks, months, but then what after? And then the health. Just I stopped, I was feeling sick. And then I didn't know how these things could proceed. And then is important, I felt important to go through my memories of Guruji and go through Patanjali to feel more supported. As I said, I heard about him that when he was feeling without possibilities and hope, he was going to the sutras in one point, and in his practice, obviously, asana and pranayama, and then he was feeling better, he was feeling the support that was needed. And actually, it was the same. I started to feel more centered, and after a while, I started to feel better. And then, still I wasn't working in these days, so I started to dedicate all the time to studies, and then the text, and then asana and pranayama practice. So I felt very much regenerated. And then in one point, my organizer from different part of the world asked me if I wanted to start with online classes. I never did in the past. I didn't know how to use it because I used the computer just in the past, used the computer just for the essential things. And then they guided me how to do it. So it was very easy. So the first Zoom class was experiment, but I noticed that was very effective. It was very good. The people could follow because you could do instructions, you can adjust. And then in that way we started. And then the people were so happy about that because where people depends on the countries that were in the condition that was kind of half lockdown, not completely. And in other places like in Italy was full lockdown for 2 months. And so many students were sending me messages saying to me, thank you very much. You don't know how much is important for me or for us because we are kind of depressed at home. We don't know what is going to be. And just to have that appointment every few days or every day for that amount of time, it was really a relief. And in that moment, it was just the class, and then know the mind in this pandemic problem. And also, in the moment that the class was finished, they were feeling already better because the power of the practice, obviously. Mm-hmm. So I felt motivated about that. So the requests increased. So we started with the organizer to organize different kind of classes, average classes with the people that had more economical problems. So we started to do also things to students of the countries where more economical problems. So everything should be more available for them. And also for students that were perhaps also coming from countries where the situation wasn't so bad economically, but they had economical problems. So we faced also to do something for them and to help them also if they couldn't face it. And because the point was give them maybe the chance to have the appointment with the practice. And nowadays that passed a long time, because I was thinking perhaps in 2 months will be fine. I remember that in 2009, I was in Pune, and it was the pandemic time of the swine flu. The institute was closed, and the streets were desert, and the government were saying to go, if you should go out in the street just with a mask. The streets were desert. But after 2 weeks, everything came back in normal condition, more or less. So I was thinking, hopefully, if not in 2 weeks, will be in few months, everything will be back in normal condition. But as you were saying before, and as all of us knows, this wasn't the case. So the things should continue, and everyone should face this condition and should organize the life in the way that in one point we should wait, and in some other side we should face the problems, and we should try to first of all find the condition to look into ourselves, because if there are things out that you don't like, that are scaring, or that are making you very upset, if you cannot do materially everything, what you can do, you feel just frustration. So look into yourself. What can you do into yourself? What can you change into yourself? So you will see the thing differently. Whatever is scaring you or is making you feel very bad, when you are observing you very much inside through the instruments of the Guruji's teaching, for example, for us, then you are able to face the problems in different way. I cannot say that really they are kind of water on your body, just going through your body and down, but you have the capability to face the situation in completely different way. And this, if you didn't have the experience about that, you can think intellectually way. Yes, it's easy to say. So for my point of view, as my experience also in the past, in some critical situation, try, give to you some routine, make the practice some like a friend, always with you, and observe, not only practice to the sake of workout, practice to increase your discrimination, your capability to observe the things inside yourself, where there are the habits, why and where there are scariness, and then try to face all these things, and then you will be changed, and then you will see the things differently, or you will be more patient.
So that's a very good point that you just brought up, the patience that this time might have taught us, and the allowing you were. And so the question that I have for you is, what is at the forefront of your consciousness at this moment? Is it something connected to how do we deal with uncertainty, or maybe it is something about surrendering, allowing, while keeping the discipline? So, or maybe something else that I'm not thinking about.
As I can tell, in the past, before this pandemic, I was having my routine, and but I should travel all the time. I was constantly in some airplane or in some new place. In some side, it was interesting to see students, friends, and traveling and going in one point, in the other point, always different. But when you are moving so much, also if you are trying to go inward, it's not really the same as you are in one place and then you are completely focused in that. So I can tell that I am a person that is also fast in changements. So I'm because all the years of practice and recognizing the needs to don't be so much attached in the situation. Perhaps I can miss situation, I can miss places, but I don't feel that I cannot live without. So I facing the situation now is not possible. So I will stay here and I will do something to look into myself. So for sure, acceptance and patience, because we cannot do anything. That's not that. And then what we can do instead, if we can find some solution with our communities as the community find the solutions for the world, for example. We didn't know what to do, and then we found a solution that to have these Zoom connections. I can tell that also, not only for the classes, but with this Zoom connection or because we have the technology, we have the possibility to communicate much easier. So in the past, perhaps I wasn't listening a person or seeing a person, if not every once a year, every twice a year, but now we can see each other all the time. So it's also, if it's through the screen, it doesn't matter. So you can see the people anyways, you can speak with the people anyways. Yes, you don't have the contact, the physical contact, but there is so much that you can share, that you can do emotionally, as a friendship, as a relationship of create something together, or just following a class. So many things can be done. So this is a great instrument, and made us in the possibilities to do so many things that otherwise were impossible to do it. So, and obviously, considering the people that have difficulties, considering the people that instead they are not behaving so well, like some situation in some particular government, or people that are poor and they are suffering, or sickness. So as you are seeing also in the sutras, you should be happy for the people that are successful. And then you should be feeling compassion to the people that have problems, difficulties. And then not only feel compassion, if you can do something, do something. And then also what we could do to help, we could do also some in our side to organize some class in favor of this situation. So the contributes were going totally or partially to that particular situation to help. And to people instead that are not behaving fine, they are creating problems. And so you can feel upset with this particular condition of people. So upeksha, you shouldn't be judging. You shouldn't be, you should let go. And this is creating you a particular power. Is bringing you a lightness in your mind, as the sutras are saying.
So do you think, so let's talk a little bit about Zoom and your experience about teaching on Zoom. Has your teaching changed in Zoom? Has your relationship to the teaching changed, to your student changed? What has Zoom given us and what has Zoom taken from us?
These online classes are not giving the possibility to adjust manually. So there is an art in the adjustment. So if the teacher is very expert in that and is going to make adjustment in the student, there are not so many words important. So you are trying to reach the student verbally, but if still the student cannot understand, is enough the expert touch, and you can reach the student in that way. So the student feel how the body should be in that particular position. So if the verbal adjustment didn't work, the manual adjustment is placing the body in that particular condition. So also the sensation can be felt. So that is not possible nowadays as the Zoom classes. But if you're looking to the students when you are teaching, all kind of verbal adjustment can be done. So there is not any difference. It's important for us as teachers to have perhaps a big screen to connect to the device in such a way you can see the students bigger, and then you can see them better, and then you can adjust them. But what I felt that is more important, that the continuing to adjust them all the time, I felt that is very much important, as I was very impressed by Guruji. Impressed very much when he was teaching, but when he was practicing, the imprinting that he made on me was still more strong. So what I felt that is very much important is bring the instruction as much as possible precise in the way that is kind of built up. So the asana, the sequence are built up like a puzzle, step by step, instruction clear, instruction step by step, the asana, the sequence that is built up gradually, and then demonstrate continuously. As I am still in, and hopefully for long, in the possibility to show with my body, it's important that I'm doing it, because as Guruji was saying, it's very important that you are giving a really precise instruction, but the body should show first of all, because there is not more powerful imprinting than what the people can see. So if they can see your body doing that particular actions, and then you are saying what they have to do, this has double power. So I noticed that, and also the students were sharing with me them impression, and not only my students. I was reading also impression that people that are following Zoom classes in general are sharing them ideas about this. They said that in the class, many times in when we were live in presence, they were feeling kind of a competition, or they were feeling kind of in the situation that perhaps they couldn't understand, and they were shy because all the students around. Instead, in this situation, they are at home, they are alone, they can see just the teacher, they know that the teacher cannot adjust them, so they can feel more responsibility to themselves, they should be concentrated. And then they have also much more possibilities to follow the classes, because if they were far from me, for example, in other cities of Italy or in different parts of the world, how many times I could see these students? Once a month, few times a year. Like this, if they want to follow some particular teacher, or they want to follow all kinds of teacher, it's available. So it's a great opportunity. And I read many students, it's a great opportunity. They said, actually, my practice improves because I have much more the possibility to, as I'm staying at home, I have the possibility to, without move, to spend money to move and travels, I can have the teacher there. And then the commitment increased.
So, yes, and we are still, all of us want to go back to face, right? We don't want to stay on Zoom. So,
yes.
So can you think about what is going to be the future of our yoga community, or the future of our practice, with maybe both of them, maybe what would be relevant for one kind of situation and for the other, for face-to-face maybe.
So there are good things, as I said, in these online classes, and the bad things is that is missing the adjustment, and then is missing also the normal things to be everyone in the same place, obviously. So that part is very important too. So from my point of view, if the possibility will be soon, it will be a combination. So it will be still the live classes. So we are going to meet, and then we are going, it will be as used to be in the past. And partially it will be still also with these online classes. So the people that they cannot do because they cannot move from them place, or when the distance are too big. So it will be both the possibilities.
Yeah, so what you said struck me quite a lot when you talked about energy, the energy of BKS Iyengar when you were in his presence. And Zoom doesn't allow us so much to feel, maybe some, but not so much, that amazing energies that there is in a classroom situation when everybody is present and the teacher can even not touch but be there. So I think that I'm asking you how.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you should think that many times we are used of something and we are attached of something, and then we don't like to change. So we were used to be all the time together. We were used to be taught in that way. So it's different, and we don't like. Like many times we don't like something because we are not used. So we need to become used. And many times you want to face it just because you cannot do it in any other ways. But then as soon as possible, you want to go back to your habits. So it's important to understand that this is another form, is another way. And then if the teacher is skilled, can have the chance to transmit their own energy to the students also through the screen. And then obviously, when he's in presence is different, but still can be done.
Yeah. Yeah. So in also you were talking about the Zoom situation where people really like, and I have experienced that as well, and many people have been saying that it's great to be by ourselves, so there is no competition with other students, there is no competition, there is a feeling of relationship straight with that teacher, and yet we can lose a lot. So maybe I'm attached to the being in the studio, but now I'm also attached to being in Zoom. So how do we manage to create a world where we are going to be able to do both? So do we think, because we are thinking of going into an hybrid situation where you have people in the studio and people on Zoom. What do you think about this?
I think that it can be absolutely done. You can do just classes live, and then you can do classes that is hybrid with people there plus the device that is recording you, or you can do only recorded Zoom class, and so is live stream. So you are organizing the classes instead to organize, for example, the class in different levels. So you can have the classes in different levels live, and plus you can have some class that are just live stream, or you can have a class that is kind of hybrid that can have people live there, and then you can have also the device to have the live stream in the same time. So I don't think that this it will be a problem. This is just a new opportunity for us. The problem it was this virus, and that made us to face bad things, and also to discover new things to face these bad things. So something was taught to us, something that also in my personal situation, I never considered these live stream things if I wasn't forced in this situation.
So if I can ask you, before I open it to all people to ask any questions that they want, if I can ask you about what have you learned about yourself and your practice this year?
So for sure, I had the time to reflect again to Guruji's practice, to Guruji's teaching, and to feel not like, you know, many times you take notes, you have notes, and then you are going to read the notes. Something was imprinted as with fire into myself under his presence. And then I felt important to have the time to reflect about that experience, about that time with him. And this experience were already coming out, like flourishing. And thinking about that things, as I was saying before, something that perhaps I didn't understand in that time, thinking about what he was teaching to me and dedicating time, looking inward under the practice of asana and pranayama, many things came up. I understood. He wanted to say that. So it was a situation that we were kind of forced, but placed us in the position or just to be there and depressed and complain, or just to take the time to do something that is very important to us as a yoga practitioner. The practice is you are following the class with the teacher, you are perhaps practicing with your colleagues, but the main things is practice with yourself. The main things is looking inside. The main things is find gradually, you should be able to polish yourself. You should become discriminative. What is important, what is not important.
Thank you, David. And we have 10 minutes now, or 10 or 12 minutes. If anybody has a question, or if you want to, you can raise your hand, your virtual hand, or you can unmute yourself, or will unmute yourself. Please ask your question for David. Do you see any question? Trish, I can't see all the screens. Is there any question coming up?
I don't see anyone raising their hand just yet, Rahel.
Okay. So let's go back to something that you said. We
do have one now, Rahel.
Yeah, we do now.
Okay, so please.
James, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, hi, David.
Hello.
I think it's really great what you've talked about, that it's important for us, ultimately, the practice, we have to go inside ourselves. And I think what stops us are obstacles, attachments to how we used to do it, how this won't work, or I don't have time, or I don't feel like it, or whatever. And so how as a teacher, how can you get us to face our obstacles without scaring us off? But really, isn't it about us sort of unmasking our obstacles so that we can go inside and be more truthful with ourselves?
As Patanjali say in the Yoga Sutra, and Yoga Sutras, that there are obstacles that are 9 kinds. One is material, is disease, but the other 8 are attitude problems. So what are these attitude problems? You have mental inertia, you have the carelessness, you have the doubt, you have the laziness, you have the incapability to withdraw your senses. You are too much attached to the environments outside. And then you have the knowledge that many times it was created by misunderstanding, misconception, misperception. And then you have the difficulties to reach the goal of what you are doing or slide back. So these are the obstacles, as you can see in the Yoga Sutra. Yadisthyana, samsaya, pramada, lasya, virati, beranti, darshana, labda, bhumikatva, navasti, tattani, chitta, viksheka, stantaraya. So what to do? You should face, you should watch into yourself and see, you should recognize, is it this laziness? Is it this carelessness? Is this something that is made as a base, as misunderstanding? So how can you create this condition? So Guruji was teaching us how to work on the surface, from the asanas, but in which way? To understand, as he was doing, as he was saying, my yoga is a yoga of actions, but not yoga of actions in the sense to move. Yoga of actions that the movement of the body are created by very small micro movements that then is, once you are able to keep these actions under control, you can find that the asana is coming to you in a lighter condition, less difficult condition. So you can find really the condition of stira sukham. So the position becomes stable and kind of almost in comfortable way. Only in that way, you can go inward, layer after layer, into your most intimate things, to your essence. Prayatna Shetilyana Smapatibhyam. So then you can go beyond the dualities. Guruji was saying dualities in the sense, not only cold and warm or just the opposite of the things, but you are in the face, on the situation to go to the distractions, to be just projected out in the connection of the environment outside, or with the need, the necessity to look into yourself. So you're not going to be pulled anymore here and there, but less and less pulled out in the sense to be attached to your habits, to be attached to the things that are pulling you as a distraction, but you are going more and more into yourself, and then the things are becoming easier. So this requires discipline. As the sutra is saying again, Sattva Shuddhi Saumanasya Ekagra Indrajaya Atmadarshana Yogatvanischa. When you are applying this process of cleanness, gradually you are creating the condition that your nature inside can be habit, can be your tendency. You are kind of doing a polishing process until you are creating into yourself the condition that the sattvic principle is the dominating one. So in that condition, you are completely transformed. So whatever is said by the text, whatever is said by the logic of something, or whatever is said, whatever you can experience by your senses, without this discipline, is completely different if you are considering the condition when you are very discriminative, and then you are making this experience like inside. So you shouldn't feel scared. You should always start from some point. From my point of view, the easiest way to have the possibility to work in this inner journey is to have the possibility to have, like for me, for other colleagues, and for you, I don't know if you had the chance to see Guruji live in person, to find a master, to find a teacher that he did this work, and then he can at least inspire you. And then can give you the points in such a way you can at least go in that direction, the right direction. Then the obstacle will be always, but you shouldn't be scared, and you should be ready to face these obstacles and gradually proceed. So I would like to give you an example. The practice to the inner journey is like to go with a boat. I don't know what are the names of these things when you have the boat in English. And then you need a kind of struggle to go in the river against the flow. And like the canoa with the pagaia, when you're doing like this. So you need that kind of struggle to go in the river against the flow. But in the moment that you are letting everything, what is doing to you the river is bringing you back. So if you don't have discipline, you are going back to your tendency. So you can do yoga 40 years, for example, but if you are not keeping that discipline, your nature, your samskaras are bringing you back. Your gunas are again working in such a way that are bringing you in your tendency. So you need constant effort in such a way you are creating this polishing, cleaning process. And so you can feel this essence of the practice like a flame alive in you.
David, when you talk about the discipline, what about compassion? So how do you balance discipline with compassion?
Discipline is many times misunderstood as a concept, because you think that you need to be there in the on your sticky mat every day, 1 hour enough, and 3 hours or whatever, doing asana, pranayama. This is just the instrument. The asana are instrument. A pranayama is instrument. So they are giving you the possibility to go through them. As Prashanji said many times, asana is just archetype of normal life. So in asana, you can find all the things that are already scaring you, that they like, you don't like. And then you are facing this condition, and through the asana, you are fixing your body, but you are disciplining your mind, and you are starting to understand better your consciousness. Mm-hmm. And mainly, the point of practice is not physical practice. Again, the physical practice is the instrument. The main point is the effort to keep your mind, your consciousness, as less as possible with fluctuations. So you know, Sthirasukha Asanam is bringing you the condition of the position is stable and comfortable. But then this position, Prayatna Shaitili Ananta Samapatibhyam, should bring you layer after layer inward in such a way that your mind, your consciousness become calm. Mm-hmm. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha should bring the calm condition, the still condition. And then when the asana is stable, you did such a work to create this stability, the breath comes as a consequence. So again, the many techniques that we have in the pranayama, again, as our instrument, what the breath should become, how the breath should become, through the asana, made in the right way, the breath should become kind of stable and fluid. You should feel that is becoming like a flow in the start. And then after that, the next step, you should feel that all the step of the inhalation, exhalation, the break between the two is becoming stable and very smooth. This smoothness is very important. So when you're pushing the breath and then you feel irritated, it's not pranayama, you're not going anywhere. When you feel, whatever technique can be also observation of the breath only, but when you start to feel that it's becoming smooth, and this smoothness, what is bringing to your mind is bringing you stillness. Mm-hmm. So another effect that in the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali you can find, once you are going through these steps, asana, kind of stability, then you feel that the effect of pranayama are coming as naturally, and then you are in the condition to work again in your elements inside. You are feeling more sattvic in one point. And then you are able to concentrate. Your mind can be there. You can place the mind where you want. But this is a process that is coming gradually. But you should have the right attitude.
Thank you, David. Is there anybody who are almost out of time, but is anybody have another question? We certainly can have one question more before we wrap it.
Rahel and David, we have a question in the chat box from Julie. The question is it possible to get too dependent on chair yoga practice?
Chair?
Yeah, chair yoga practice.
Okay. The props, as Guruji was saying, this I want to say because it's something that he said, and then under interview, he said, using his words, I invented the props because people are lazy. So, but it's important to give to people that are lazy or scared, or they have problems in the body, give the possibility to give to them some confidence, to some possibility, security, to face them practice also in a more simple way, in a light way. But then he understood using the props that perhaps was the first point to use the props to help the people that are lazy, to help the people that have difficulties, to help the people that are too old or too sick to face in otherwise different modalities. But then he noticed that the prop can be used in a discriminative way to awake part of the bodies that otherwise are under darkness. So in that case, the chair is a very multitask. You can use in so many modalities, and it can give you the possibility to reach a point that otherwise free body, also if you are strong and flexible and young, otherwise you couldn't touch. So again, you shouldn't be attached to anything, but you should use this support as an instrument that is bringing you more discrimination, more sensibility and sensitivity. And then you can also try to be, if it's possible in you, to be less attached. You can try first with a chair, and then you are repeating the same things without chair. And then gradually you can try to do also more and more without chair at all. But it's not the point that you should do always with the props. It's not the point they should do only free body. The prop is a great instrument. Personally, I'm doing a lot of practice with the props to awake that particular areas. And then after I'm doing without the prop, as Guruji was doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. And I think we are out of time. And I want to thank you for this wonderful talk and giving us so much food for thought. And I want also to thank the Iyengar Association of New England and Artemis Yoga for their support. We really needed a strong community and to be able to live in and flourish in this world. And we need to remind ourselves that we are all interconnected, and it is in our interconnection that we can create and we can heal and be content and find contentment. Right? So I'd like to announce the next virtual coffee on July 25th. We will host Sheila Haswell from England at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, I'd like to announce that Gita Beshkard, who was one of our first guests, will be teaching about the yamas, practices and attitude that allows for flourishing in all circumstances. It will take place on Zoom on June 26, 27. If you are interested, check the Artemis website for more info, or I think Liz will put that in the chat room so you can you can see the information. And I see Sheila is here too, so thank you very much, Sheila, for coming. Thank you very much, David, and everybody for coming. It's really wonderful to be part of for this community and to have all of us globally come and listen to our teachers. And you have given so much food for thought, David. I'm really thankful to you, as I'm sure everybody on this Zoom meeting. Thank you very much.
And can we leave with the invocation?
Thank you.
Of course we can. Of course, this is certainly.
you can just listen and then close the eyes and place the hands together in a Patanjali Mudra. यत् रूपमद्यं प्रभवति जगतो नेकदानुग्रहाय रक्षीणक्लेशार्षिर्विषमविषदरो नेकवक्त्रः सुभोगी सर्वज्ञानप्रसूतिर्भुजगपरिकरप्रीतये यस्य नित्यम् देवो ईशः स वो व्यात्सितविमलतनुर्योगदो योगयुक्तः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः नमस्ते.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Have a good day.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Rahel. That was
Thanks
wonderful.
everyone for coming.